Tron, your favorite producer, your favorite engineer, and today I want to talk to you guys about how I overcame the struggles of mixing the 5 areas that you guys should focus on. All right, so first of all, before we dive into the 5 areas that you guys should focus on, I want to start off by playing a song so you guys can understand, like listen to the song, and we can break the song down, and I can show you guys how this process of overcoming this mixing process of what I did, what you guys can use. So let's start out with playing the song. When petals fall, we're gonna turn it up a little bit. Beneath the surface, a flower grows, even when it's feeling low. Love can help it shine and glow.
Just seen a broken flower, amazing, they still grew. Love and hate never change, but anything they still do. Trying to tell me I ain't perfect, it's really a mistake. Figured out how to measure love and fix hearts when they break. Just heal the broken flower, amazing, you like new. Real and fake never change, but in the game they still do. Trying to tell you you ain't perfect, they made a mistake.
We're gonna turn it up a little bit. We're gonna turn it up a little bit.
Fix your heart so it won't break. Being real, give you the chills. She ain't worried about no thrills. Just out here on that grind, going hard, paying the bills. It don't matter where she been, they always know that she a 10. Ain't really trying to trend, just keeping enough to spend. Don't need too many friends, she just run that
back solo.
The hood is on that team, her face and smile.
It's the logo.
She was rising on the net, cross my page and seeing Tron. I ain't really tripping cause I got a green thumb. Just hit a broken flower, amazing, you like no. Real and fake never change, but in the game they still do. Tried to tell you ain't perfect, they made a mistake. Figured out how to still grow and fix your heart so it won't break. Just hit a broken flower, amazing, it still grew. Love and hate never change, but in the game they still do. Trying to tell me I ain't perfect, it's really a mistake. Figured out how to measure love and fix hearts when they break.
Changed on me, they look shame on me. I'm that same OG, give me game on beats. I look OPP in the streets in me. I got dope in me. Yeah, I'm supposed to give you something to see now, but baby, you ain't even speaking to me now. I guess you win.
We fit to break down this song, the mixing process, and what you guys need to focus on to get a great mix for beginners too. Amazing, still grew. Yo, what's good? What's good? What's good? Talk to Tron, your favorite producer, your favorite engineer. Just hear the broken flowers, amazing. What's good, Michelle Wilson? What's up, Kevin Bravo? What's good? Make sure y'all like it. Make sure y'all like it. Make sure y'all share it. Make sure y'all like it and share it. I'm ready to break down the process on the five areas that most producers and engineers struggle with. Who is it? Basa Kakana.
When petals fall.
All right, so what's good? Once again, this Talk to and Tron, your favorite producer, your favorite engineer. So we just basically played a song that we recently recorded and we mixed or whatever. We still got to take it through the mastering stage to be able to officially release it. But I want to talk to you guys about the areas that most engineers and producers struggle with. The very first one is this right here. All right, the very first one will be gain staging. That's pretty much where most producers and most engineers struggling with. Gain staging is when you have a sound, you have a bunch of sounds, wherever it's more than two or three or whatever, and you got all of these sounds. So you basically want to gain stage or whatever to identify what you want to be the most dominant, what you want to stand out. So gain staging is basically how loud you're able to hear something. So basically like how loud you want to be able to hear this. So just for instance, if we're producing a track, let's just say we got vocals, we got 808s, we got kicks, we got hi-hats, we got snares, all of those are pretty much drums, and we got all of these things going on. Most likely you want the vocals to be the lead element. Those are the things that you want to hear when you have a fully produced song. So you definitely want the vocals to be the lead element. Next, you pretty much want the kicks followed by the 808, followed by the snares, followed by the hi-hat. So when we're talking about gain staging, it's basically how loud you want to hear things. And so when you gain stage, start if you're doing your full song, start with your vocals and just see this is where you're gonna identify how loud you're able to get something without having to distort or whatever. And also by gain staging, you ensuring that at the end of the day that your mix is gonna be loud enough, you're gonna have enough headroom to take it into mastering to push it through a limiter. All right, second, this is what we're gonna focus on, which is gonna be we got panning. Hope you guys can see it. So next, you definitely want to focus on panning. So just go back to all of these sound elements that we have, these instruments, the vocals, the 808, the kicks, and all these. So when we're talking about panning, this is pretty much gonna let me know how wide my mix gonna be and like where my mix definitely I don't want it to sound flat. So just imagine if we panning like you got something in the center, which is gonna be your kicks and 808, and you're panning you're gonna think about now you're gonna have everything surrounding around the middle. So also your vocals are gonna be pretty much in the middle. So you got your vocals, your kicks, and your 808 taking up the middle space. Now you got to be able to make room for these other instruments, which may be a piano, which may be a guitar, which may be a pad. So now your pan is kind of like we kind of helping create this 3D feel. So that's why panning is going to be very important. Just make sure you're placing all these elements in their space where if they're not loud in volume, not loud in gain stage, and they still can be heard in the mix. So just think about that. So it's like you can pan left and right. And then we're going to be talking about like creating that 3D effect by when we have an up front and forward. I mean backwards, I'm sorry. Next, we want to focus on all right, so most producers, most engineers struggle with EQ because they over complex. Like EQ could be all so simple if you understand what you're doing with the EQ. EQ could be so simple, like it doesn't have to be complicated. So when I like to focus on the EQ, EQ is good for like cutting, removing frequencies. It's also good for boosting, but a lot of times like you may not have to boost it depending on how you're mixing. Hey, make sure you guys like it. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Make sure you comment. Make sure you share to a producer, an engineer that may be struggling with mixing. These are the top 5 things that they're gonna need to get better, get professional mixes. And it's simple. These are the strategies that I had to learn. These are the strategies that I end up using. So EQ. So we basically gonna be using EQ to get rid of unwanted frequencies or whatever. And this is gonna just help you just get a cleaner mix, a nice balanced mix as well, because you can get a balanced mix by being able to EQ. So we don't want to get into all the nuances of EQing, but EQing is gonna be very critical, and you can get away with just high pass, low pass. All right, next is we're gonna focus on compression. We're gonna focus on compression or using a compressor. So now we're gonna be focusing on the dynamics of mixing. Like you're gonna have loud parts and you're gonna have low parts. And it basically like this is the dynamics from here to here, like how much spacing you have, and your mixes is gonna sound unbalanced, unprofessional if you do not control the dynamics. Before we even get into the dynamics of using the compressor, you definitely can use clip gain. You can use automation. You can use all these things so your compressor does not have to work so hard. But compressing is going to be basically smoothing out the peaks. These are your peaks and rising up your low volume. So we're just going to bring it all together. So learning how to use a compressor is going to be very important. It's going to be very key. And let's see, the next thing that we really want to focus on would be these are going to be two. All right, next is gonna be reverb and delay. Reverb and delay. You can use both. You can use one depending on how you use it. I like to use two, but I like to use it like very moderate. I don't like to go heavy on it because I understand that I'm using the reverb for the room, and I'm also using the delay for like the space and to help create a more 3D mix or whatever. So reverb is gonna be, if you use it correctly, your mix won't be washed out. If you ever heard someone say, "Hey, this mix sound very washed out," like I can't quite hear the vocals because you got too much reverb. But if you don't have enough reverb or you don't put the reverb right, your mix is gonna sound dry. So it's just gonna sound like you're just talking in a room, but it's not complimenting the song, because most likely you want to put your vocals inside the room or the beat or the instrumental. All right, so now we're gonna use the delay. A lot of times when we hear a delay, most people think about this echo effect. A delay doesn't always has to be an echo effect. Like this the way that most people describe it, but delay 9 times 10 can be like a 3D dimensional effect, like where we creating space. Sometimes you can just dial in a little bit and you'll see that the vocal is kind of spacing out, and you'll see that it's kind of like moving forward and back. So it's helping create like a 3D dimension where your mix is not sounding flat or whatever. So these, once again, we're gonna go back over. So we definitely want to focus on gain staging, how loud we get each sound. Next, we want to focus on panning based on where we placing each sound and instrument. Then we want to follow with EQ by getting rid of the unwanted frequencies and things. Then we're gonna focus on compressor by on compression. I'm sorry, by controlling the dynamics of the peaks in the quietest part, tighten them up so we can have a smoother, flatter, well, smoother mix. And then we want to focus on some reverb and some delay to help create this 3D dimension effect where it can sound good and where you can sound like you're in the same room. These are things that basically help me be able to. I'm sorry. These are things that basically help me be able to produce mixes better, because I used to struggle with gain staging. I went to EQ, I went to compressor, I went to reverb, delay. All these things I had to go one by one, check off. I mastered this, I understand this, I understand this. So now if you struggling with getting a good mix, you struggle with getting a balanced mix, upfront mix. If you struggling with your low end, um feeling muddy, you can't get enough headroom for a mix and master. Like these are all the things, like we can go further with saturation, we can go further with like all these different types of mixing terms, but this right here is going to help you guys get a professional polished mix. So if y'all want to learn more, holler at me, because Talk to and Trim, we definitely got a mixing in minutes type of thing that we can take you guys through and help you. We can help you guys build these fundamentals, because right here, guys, these are just terms, but these are fundamental terms that you guys need to learn. Once again, this Talk to and Trim, your favorite producer, your favorite engineer. Let me know, I got you. We out.